Shalom, Israel. I was born in 1964, June 13th. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, I had two younger brothers. And one day we decided to play a game. I would lock them into a suitcase that my father had, let them stay for a minute, and then open it up. I was not the best big brother, and I might have left one or both of them in too long. But when I opened it, they both got up and got out of it quickly. And so it was my turn. And I stepped into the suitcase and they locked it and left me there to the point where I was blacking out. Um, I was trying to get out of it, push my back into the top of the suitcase to try to pop it open. But eventually I stopped. And that's when they opened it. So needless to say, it was a traumatic experience. And after that point, I started to treat my brothers a lot better. It's one of my first memories as a child. So I decided to protect my brothers and try to guide them into better choices. But even my choices were wrong sometimes. Fast forward to maybe 2, 3 more years later, I had a friend. And one day, for some reason, we got into a fight. And I won, but he never talked to me again. That affected me also. I was concerned about his welfare. And I never saw him again after that fight. Nevertheless, I didn't have an opportunity to apologize. And I shied away from fighting after that point. I was about maybe 10 or 11 years old. Fast forward again to the next year or the next couple of years. And I had moved to a new place of residence. And I met this girl. And she was like the prettiest girl in school, at least to me. I went over her house one day, and she offered me more than a kiss. And unfortunately, my younger brother was there and his friend, and they were listening at the door. I don't know if I would have taken advantage of the situation if they had not been there, but I didn't. And since that point, I have always been circumspect with the opposite sex. Loved looking at them, occasionally talked to them, actually pursued a few. But no real commitment for several years. Being raised in the ghetto and living in that environment changes you and your thoughts, your beliefs, and your choices. Things that we did were usually dangerous, occasionally stupid, but I tried to temper the stupid with more common sense. I tried. Didn't always succeed. You know, I was raised with parents who had their own lives to live and choices that they had to make. And being in the ghetto, they were usually, the result was not one that they would value. But we got along as best we could, as most other ghetto families. I am the oldest son, and I currently stay, for the moment, with family. I tell you this because during my youth and growing up, I used to think that I had common sense at the very least. But in reality, I was merely choosing the the avenues where the least amount of damage could be done. And also during this time, I was being attacked constantly by evil spirits. And once they get a foothold in either me or my brothers or my sisters, that was when damage would occur. And we have all been damaged by family in one way or another. And during that damage, your decision making is affected. So you might do something that you wouldn't otherwise do under normal circumstances. So while I had a modicum of common sense growing up, it disappeared about when I became a teenager. So most of my choices during that period of time were the wrong choices. Either I was influenced by evil spirits, or I was a vessel for them. But either way it went, we definitely had spirits where I lived. I'm sure more than one of you can say to yourselves, my place where I lived as a child was haunted. And in the case of my place of residence at that time, it was definitely haunted. Part 2.